I hate the, well, it hurts when I deadlift, and the doctor says, well, then don't deadlift because they're not moving.
Yeah.
They're going to be depressed because they're not doing what gives them joy and releases endorphins. The pain doesn't correlate to mechanical or anatomical injury.
Way we've got Dr. Gabriel Rizzo, who now is adding more initials apparently to his resume. But man, we're like I said, man, love having you, love talking to you. The one thing that I remember when meeting you first was like, you didn't tell me to stop working out. And man, that has always bugged me about the medical industry. If anything happens, you get a hangnail, they're like, okay, you need to stop working out altogether. And it's like, movement is healing,
Absolutely.
and it's like, hey, obviously take your time if you've got an injury, a legitimate injury, but work up to it. And that was one thing that you never restricted me on. And there was even some times where like we'd go and deadlift and I'd be like, all right, which one are you? Are you my friend or are you my doctor today? So
for sure.
Yeah, man. So
and
go ahead. No.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and with the, I hate the, well, it hurts when I deadlift, and the doctor says, well, then don't deadlift.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a power lifter, so that's not an option. So you do a thorough physical and ortho exam and neuro testing, and you see, and imaging if needed, what risk is there, what's going on. As long as you're not risking death or paralysis, we will work around it.
Yeah.
Whether that is lower the load, change the angle, shorten the range of motion, change the rest intervals, whatever, warm up differently, whatever it might be. You might not be able to do a full conventional deadlift immediately.
Yeah.
Well, can we do rack pull? Can we change the load? Can we change the bar size? Can we decrease weight? Like, what can we do to work you back up to that point? And then it's just exercise progression after that.
It's like it's problem solving. And instead we have, and you know what, I get it. The medical industry is just flooded with problems. Like everybody's got something. There's not enough providers and staff to deal with the increase, but still, like it's a problem. Let's figure a solution out that somewhere in the middle. Like you said, you might not be back to pulling 800 pounds, but hey, if we cut that in half and maybe work onto your form and recruiting the right muscles and the right sequence, and like, let's figure something out. And that's just not what happens.
If you're an 800-pound conventional puller and you blow out a disc or something, well, part of your rehab is going to be deadlift. We're not probably going to pull off the floor, and it's definitely not going to be 800 pounds. But we might start with a 2-inch rack pull with 135.
Yeah.
And if that's what we need to do, that's what we'll slowly do, in addition to other therapeutic exercises in rehab. But when you tell someone, hey, that movement hurts your back, stop. Now all of a sudden, or just stop working out in general. Now all of a sudden, well, they're going to be stiff because they're not moving.
Yeah.
They're going to be depressed because they're not doing what gives them joy and releases endorphins. They're going to get fat because they're not burning calories. And mentally, now we have this neuro perception of, I can't bend over, I'm fragile.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
Yeah.
You're not fragile. You're not made of glass.
No.
We can work back up to these things. So
the body is super resilient.
Extremely resilient. And when people say, oh, you're out of alignment or you'll slip a disc doing that, like, no, you won't.
Yeah.
Just progress, whether that's, like I said, whether that's reducing the weight, reducing the, changing the angle, the movement, whatever, work back up to what you were doing.
Yeah.
If you just stop completely for months or something and sit still, now you're hurting and you're afraid of that exercise and you'll never want to do it again. And as soon as you try to, if someone says that's what hurts you, guess what? Whether it's hurting you or not, you're going to finish it and be like, oh gosh, I'm in so much pain now.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, the mental aspect of it is always under, is overlooked, because I play sports and, you tweak an ankle or something, you get back out there after the ankle's healed up and you just mentally, you're like, man, how far can I go? Like part of your recovery is the mental aspect of it too, of being 100%. Like, okay, like this joint, this muscle, this whatever is healed. I can now go back to what I'm doing. But like you said, if you just stop and you never get out of that mental like box that you put yourself in, saying like, I can't do it. I'm fragile. I'm weak. I'm going to break. Man, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to be stuck on a couch.
And there's a word for that. We call that nocebo. So placebo is when you're told something's going to work, and even if it doesn't do anything and you take it, you think it works. Yeah. And nocebo means somebody tells you, usually a medical provider, that that's going to hurt you. Yeah. And then from then on, you're afraid to do that because you think that's going to hurt me. And if you do it, you go, oh, goodness, that's going to hurt me. Yeah. And pain doesn't correlate to mechanical or anatomical injury. Think of this. A paper cut hurts. Is that a big injury?
No.
Absolutely not. Can you still write and do stuff and whatever? Absolutely. Yep. So you can have pain that's not correlated to true joint destruction.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? So, and vice versa. There's people you can do an MRI on who have a bunch of blown out discs and they're like, I feel fine. If you tell them all that, now they're going to say, oh, you know what? It is really hurting. But I've done MRIs on people and had a bunch of incidental findings like, yeah, your disc is completely herniated. Yeah. There's pressure on this nerve and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, really?
And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, now everything hurts.
Yeah, that's the nocebo effect. So, pain science is huge. And thankfully, there's starting to be more research in it and more providers, a lot of PTs, some chiros that are starting to understand like, okay, we need to not tell people that they're made of glass and slowly work back into doing things, and change the approach, like I said. But work back into it.
Yeah. And that is essentially what kind of kept me with you. Like when we first met back at, what was it? You had to stand on the grand opening at Temple. And I was like, look, finally a doc that's not telling me to stop. And, you understood the sport.
Well, I wouldn't stop. My pec's completely torn off the bone and I still figure out ways to bench, whether I'm bringing my grip in or using a slingshot or a board or something. I still tried, the muscle's not there anymore, and I still try to do it. I can't do it as heavy as I used to.
Exactly.
We're close. But I'll never stop lifting. I'd rather be dead, and I won't stop till I'm dead. So.
Now, I will say I need a doc to be like, hey, don't run ever again because, because I'll stick with that and be like, hey, the doc said don't run. Like, I'm done.
I'm down with not running.
Cardio's for the birds.
Again, if you're a marathon runner and you have plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendinopathy or something like that, we can rehab that. I'm not going to say don't ever run if that's your sport. Yeah. Let's figure out how we can fix it, rehab it, so you can get back into what you love doing.
Yeah. I think it's actually interesting. So like, the gym I go to, there's an older crowd there at a certain time of day. And, I'll see guys and they're, doing whatever crazy exercise they're doing and they're limited range of motion. They're trying to get after, but they're like, man, I'm getting old. And the doc said this, and that. And it's like, this part makes so much sense. And I didn't even plan to go this route, but, it makes sense. And it's like, one guy, he was like, I can't do full range of motion because my shoulder hurts. And it's like, okay, it's not that you can't do full range of motion, probably, because your arm clearly moves in the full range of motion. It's probably you just don't move in that full range of motion. And then you've gotten weak at the bottom part or wherever, and you're stiff and you're not getting enough blood flow to the area and the muscles atrophied and all of this stuff. And that's why you're dealing with that. But then when you incorporate what you just mentioned about the nocebo, it's like a huge mixture of disaster waiting to happen.
Absolutely. And if you can do something with no weight, then we can progress. But some people, they, at a certain angle, something, they can't do something. So let's change the angle.
Exactly.
Or let's start with the shorter range of motion and increase it a centimeter each workout.
Yeah.
Either way. And with shoulder and chest stuff, lots of times you have to change the angle you have to change your grip space. Yep. You have to change the angle of where you hold your elbows, whether you're pressing out here or pressing in here or in here. Either way, or even turning in at the bottom and pressing out on the way up. Either way, it takes a good provider, whether that's a chiro, a sports chiro, a PT, an orthopedist, like to go through, even a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm absolutely a personal trainer to understand that, okay, it's not working this way, understand the anatomy and the physics enough that let's try it a different way.
Yeah.
Not just say, okay, scratch that, we can't do that exercise.
Yeah.
Modify it.
Yeah.
Shorten the range of motion, change the angle, decrease the weight, increase the rest time, something you can do to make it happen.
And it's crazy, even while you're saying that, it's like you're describing just another aspect of progressive overload. Like we get very caught up in thinking progressive overload means you have to put 5 more pounds on the bar, or, you know, a bigger dumbbell in your hand and do 10 reps. But progressive overload can also be sticking with the same weight and doing a couple more reps, or like you're saying, going a little bit further in your range of motion if that's causing still more strength gain, more progression of any type. It's like we get very tunnel vision on progressive overload. Has got to be more weight.
Yeah, and it absolutely doesn't. You're right. It can be more reps. It can be bigger range of motion. It can be slower on the negative. Those are all forms of progressive overload. It doesn't just mean load the bar with more weight.
Yeah. And you know, like with talking about like men in the gym, especially because women will go in the gym. They will use. I see most women doing amazing form. You know, they're very particular about it, and they're just like, you know, they got their dumbbells or whatever. They're amazing form. Guys,
and they don't care if it's 2-pound dumbbells, because that's what they're doing.
Amazing form the whole way through. Guys, on the other hand, we're like,
ego plays a huge role.
All of the weight
plays a huge role.
Yeah.
Guys are afraid, and honestly, I'm guilty of it too. After I tore my pec, I didn't want to bench, because I went from a 455 competition pause bench press to I couldn't do maybe 65 pounds without pain.
Yeah.
And that's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
To go from a high level power lifter to I did more in middle school is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I do it, and I've kindly come to grips with it. I can't, you know, like I said, I used to have a 500 plus in the gym, a 455 in competition. My absolute max now is 225, which sucks.
Yeah, I get it.
But I'm happy to work up to it. You know, I don't care that I could do 185 for 40 reps in high school. If I get it for 5 now, I'm like, all right,
there we go.
Let's try something.
There it is.
Now. Like, I didn't rip it further, and I'm okay, and I got to do something. Like, and I know the ego thing. I get high school kids that give me looks like, now I'd be like, boy, I will crush you.
Yeah.
But
then you're like, okay, well, let's go to the deadlift platform.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I'm gonna go sit out here. I feel like the SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm gonna head out.
Absolutely. You know, so I'm a physician and a provider, but I'm also a meathead.
Yeah.
So I get it. Like I get I have a huge ego. It's embarrassing when I can't do the stuff I used to do. I get it. So it sucks to do that, but you can't just say, well, I can't do what I used to do, so I'm not going to do it anymore. My doctor says that squats are bad for your knees and deadlifts are bad for your back and bench is bad for your shoulders. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I tore my pec off the bone benching.
Yeah,
and I
saw that
still
picture.
Freaking bench. So.
I saw that picture. I was like, oh. Yeah, no, that looked horrible. But like you said, like you still go in there and, you know, like for a lot of us, the gym is not just about getting necessarily bigger or stronger. That's a good aspect of it, and a lot of us are shooting for it. But like the mentality is the biggest piece for me. I know if I take too long off of the gym for reasons outside of my control, like, you know, if I have designated time where I know I'm gonna be out of the gym, that's one thing. But when I'm forced out of the gym, I'm like pacing up and down the hallway.
You feel miserable, you feel lazy, you feel depressed. Absolutely.
And and I think that's a big factor. I know that's a big factor because, you know, just being active, it does so much for the health. And, you know, I get really frustrated when I hear people that think the gym is just about muscle or just about strength. And it's like, no, this is all around.
Or just about vanity.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst. Because, I mean, yeah, sure, it exists, but most bodybuilders, the most vain of the gym world, even they're doing it for the mentality of it, you know, going in there to see how good can I get, you know, and how far can I push myself. And I think that mentality kind of makes, you know, it makes a man a stronger like foundation, just even like in their household, you know, to be able to deal with the ups and downs of your gym life and be like, okay, I'm going to plan for this. I'm going to execute. I'm going to reevaluate. But those are all the same things that you got to do at your house, your job, your relationship, just everywhere in your life. So it's like
100%.
It's an amazing tool to to bring men back to center and be like, okay, this is a trial. This is a tribulation. I'm going to work through it. I'm going to be disciplined and dedicated. I'm showing consistency, and I'm going to achieve what I set out to do.
Absolutely. 100%. That's why the mental aspect is huge. It's a perfect analogy for life.
Yeah.
With squat, you have heavy weight on your shoulder. All men do. All men have so much responsibility to provide and protect and do all this stuff. The same analogy as squat. It will push you down, big weight on your shoulders. You will push down. Are you going to get back up? And, even proving it to yourself. Well, I told myself I'd get up at 6 and I didn't want to get up, but I got up and I went to the gym and I didn't feel great. I was tired, but I pushed through. I finished my workout. And I might not have hit a PR today, but I went and I did my best and I'm going to go back again tomorrow. And that crosses over to every other platform in life, every other platform. Any man that gets comfortable lying to himself, saying, oh, I'm going to get up tomorrow and not doing it, or quitting when it's hard, you don't respect yourself and nobody else is going to respect you. So, it's so much, it's not just, oh, I'm going to take my shirt off and flex hard. That's cool. It's nice to feel comfortable at the beach. But it is your mental discipline. It is learning values for life. And that's why I think everyone should be in the gym, especially men.
Oh my God. Especially like two fathers, because your kids need to see that. Like they're going to, they see little aspects of it at the house, but like if you take your kid, especially if they're old enough, take them to the kid and you are coaching them on especially the mentality piece of it. Like, all right, hey, look, man, you went for, your PR on squat. You didn't get it. So what do we need to do? Instead of like letting them stay down, you're teaching them how life actually works. It's like, you got kicked in the ass. Tough break, kid. Guess what?
What's your new plan? And I can help you make a new plan.
We're going to execute it.
Because for sure, it's so important.
Life is man. life is neutral. I think we tend to think life is just out to get us. No, things happen. Things happen. It's really neutral. Whatever happens based off of choices you make and stuff like that. It's not like life is out to get you, but sometimes it's just going to be hard. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be stressful. What are you going to do about it?
And if you haven't fallen down and gotten kicked in the teeth yet, you will, unfortunately. And you have to learn how to clean the blood off and make a new plan. And that's just, the gym's a perfect analogy for that and to build those skills.
And, the gym is one of those places where you can't cheat through it. You can fake the funk outside the gym and act on social media like you got all this money or all this success or all these women or whatever the case is, but you can't cheat it in the gym.
No, and if you do, we'll send you to Goob, and Goob will call you out. You Photoshop your crap.
Oh man, you're going to catch it. So everybody is quick to find that one.
But really, in real life, you can't fake that. You cannot buy a nice body. You cannot buy low cholesterol. You cannot buy good blood pressure.
Nope.
You have to train for it. You cannot buy a big deadlift or a big squat. Like, you have to work.
Yeah, absolutely. So what, in your opinion, do you think is one of the top medical issues that men face right now? If you have to pick one.
Well, I got to pick two because they correlate. Metabolic disease. Metabolic disease meaning obesity, and with that correlates to obesity, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, type 2 diabetes.
I feel attacked.
That's not you at all.
That's my whole family, man.
That's most men. It's common. That's the most common. And low testosterone is it's a huge contributing factor to that. So
and they play into each other.
Low T is an epidemic, and whether people want to admit it or not, guess what just happened? The lab ranges keep making the bottom end of testosterone lower and lower and lower and lower. Average testosterone is dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. The average male now is about equivalent to his testosterone levels is about equivalent to an 80-year-old who was fighting in World War II.
Yeah, man. And I heard that.
I see this every single day in my practice. Optimal total testosterone is 800 to 1200. And 100 years ago, a healthy 25-year-old, that's where they were. On 90% of them were in that range. Now, guess how many people I've tested over 700 naturally? Out of probably 2,000 lab tests, less than 10, probably less than 5.
That is insane.
Naturally.
And it was bad is like there are so many factors that can contribute to low test, but like you said, like it just gets slept on. It's just like, well, the range says, whatever, the army is a big one. I think their low end was 250 at one point. And it's like,
that's what most medical ranges are. That's what most labs use now. It's 250 to 1100.
Anything that's not a range. That's just all of the numbers. Like
for women, it's 2 to 45. They're like, we don't care if you feel like shit.
Man.
No, but honestly, the range is so insane. The range is just based on an average. The range is not based on what's healthy.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that about lab ranges. The original lab ranges came from draftees from, I believe, World War I, and they tested all of them who passed their physical fitness test, and they said, hey, these guys are healthy. Their average numbers were here to here. And that's where the first ones came from. Now it's just an average of the population.
And that's a horrible thing to do because, half the America is overweight and obese and sitting on the couch.
Wait. There's one exception. Guess which one it is?
Which one?
Cholesterol. That range is lower than optimal, based on research, lower than optimal. Because guess what the biggest selling drug is? Statin.
Yeah. So in order to make some money,
Back to the testosterone range. Yes, we live in a very toxic world. A lot of these factors are uncontrollable if you're going to exist in modern life.
Yeah.
But the screens we're looking at right now, guess what? That's raising cortisol. Guess what that's doing? Decreasing testosterone.
Yeah.
Right? The water we drink, that's loaded with drugs.
Yeah.
Whether we believe it or not, everyone has more pharmaceutically prescribed drugs. We eat them.
Yeah.
They go through our system. Metabolites are excreted in the urine. Yeah. That's what happens. We can't get that out with any kind of filtration system. You're getting everyone's drugs in your water.
Yeah.
Right? We're stressed. We're dopamine. Well, we need dopamine. So instead of getting it the way we're supposed to with valuable face-to-face relationships, sunlight, accomplishing tasks, what do?
Hop on phones,
Instagram, get our likes based on whatever. Porn, drugs, alcohol. That's how we get our dopamine now. Guess what all that shit does? Kills your testosterone.
Yeah.
So we live in a toxic world, a hyper-stressed world.
Yeah.
Even if it's not phone stress, it's work stress, it's life stress, it's family stress. Cortisol is too high. That's a testosterone killer.
Yeah.
Obesity's too high. We eat like shit. We eat nothing but processed food.
Eating like shit. We ate like shit years ago, and it's only gotten worse. And it's like, I'll talk to people, like, for example, you mentioned cholesterol. So medical industry has gotten people so scared of the word fat that it's like, well, just stay away from fat. I've had clients that I'll be like, hey, we're going to throw some whole eggs onto your meal plan, some red meat, as long as you don't have any kind of issues with those foods, like, sensitivities or allergies, we're going to put that on there. And I had a guy, he told me, hey, my wife asked, can we switch out the red meat? Because, I got high blood pressure and the fat and stuff. And can we switch to, I think he said ground turkey. And I was like, okay, one, fat is not inherently bad. Two, there's a lot of good cholesterol in red meat. As long as you're, like, the way I see it, whole foods, you're generally going to be safe. It's the extra crap that we're eating that is making the word fats bad. Like all the seed oils, the vegetable oils, canola oil, all of that.
And it's also types of fat. Trans fats, like fried foods, frostings, sugars, and cookies. That's the bad fats to avoid. Guess what cholesterol is made from? Cholesterol comes from your liver, for those that don't know. Most cholesterol is produced by body demand, and guess what it's made out of? Sugar. Your liver uses glucose to make about 80%, depending on the person, right around 80% of the cholesterol made by their liver comes from glucose.
Yeah.
So fat's not the enemy.
No.
It's sugars and carbs.
Yep.
And I'm not saying all carbs are bad. It's the processed bullshit carbs.
Exactly.
It's your white breads and your crap pastas and your fruity coffee drinks with whipped cream and sugar and all that stuff.
That
That's
costs
what
$10.
changes it. It's not your eggs.
Yeah. No.
It's not your steak twice a week.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to eat super fatty crap burgers all the time? No, that's got a ton
Are you
going
to go get
in it.
what is
that's
that?
Not good.
What is that beef that's like super marbled? It's very expensive. I forgot what it is.
I'm going to say it wrong. I think it's called Wagyu.
Yeah. Obviously, eating that 6 times a day for a week, that's probably going to be bad.
Saturated fat. You don't want the edge that's pure fat.
Yeah.
So what's within the meat, the marbling within the meat of a lean steak, a New York strip, a sirloin, it's just don't do flank steaks all the time, and don't do super fatty ground beef all the time. But if you cook it right, red meat is not the enemy. You get heme iron, oxygenated iron, which you don't get from anything else. Dark leafy greens are great for iron.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But if you have an issue with it, heme iron's the best from red meat.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the fats a little bit.
Yeah.
Get leaner cuts.
Yeah.
But it's incredible for you.
Yeah.
The B vitamins, there's so many different nutrients in those proteins, and it's super high in leucine and amino acids that increase protein synthesis. So
I try to tell people if red meat is like one of the most efficient foods there is. It's like getting optimal protein, amazing fat source, and then pretty much the entire micronutrients that you could ask for. It's almost. And I'm not super pro carnivore, but absolutely. I'd say lean protein and vegetable is the best thing that you can do. Yeah. It's the like you said, it's the seed oils, it's the processed sugars, the processed carbs, the super high gluten. And I think that was stupid because I didn't have GI issues that gluten. So no, our manufactured manipulated grains and stuff that are so high in gluten, it's sticky proteins. It's gliadin proteins. They're sticky. They're hard to digest, and they do cause inflammation in the GI tract. Yeah. And I used to say that was crap until I actually understood it. I'm not gluten. You don't have to have celiac disease. Gluten's hard to digest. Yeah. For Hashimoto's, for people with bloating, for people with SIBO, it's hard to digest. I still eat it. I'll die before I give up on pizza. Yeah. But I understand it's hard to digest. I might not feel great. My nose gets stuffy, and I typically get like some postnasal drip and stuff after. Yeah. I'd still do it. And if you do it with digestive enzymes, it helps a lot more. Yeah. But we're demonizing these whole foods given by God that are so great for us, for all this, for the damage that this processed bullshit has caused. Yeah. And we're saying, oh, it's the red meat and it's the eggs. Yeah. No, it's all the processed bullshit. Yeah. It is not the red meat and the eggs. Correct. And this is ridiculous because if we were concerned about health, right, truly just worried about health, we'd be shutting down a lot of these food joints instead of demonizing red meat and eggs. But no, it's easier to do that because you can capitalize on the money from all of these other food joints that are serving you crap. And then it's like, okay, so you can go to some of these places and think that, hey, I'm going to get a grilled chicken salad, and it sounds harmless, but it's like that grilled chicken. First of all, what kind of quality chicken are you about to cut into?
Yeah, chicken full of drugs, grilled in bullshit seed oils.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Probably iceberg lettuce that has no nutritional value besides fiber.
And then you've got
ranch dressing on top.
I was about to say a dressing that's made with even more oil. But you know what? The flavor profile on there is so amazing. It's so palatable to you that you're like, oh, this is good.
And you get to sell it as a health food.
Yep.
Hey, you had a chicken salad for lunch.
Oh, you're doing good. I
get all these people that come into my practice and say, I'm in a calorie deficit, but I can't lose weight. I'm gaining weight. That doesn't happen. You're not in a deficit.
Yeah.
You either have a very slow metabolism, and you don't understand how little you need or how much more you need to expand or how much smaller you need to eat. And people that try to say, well, I calculated my stuff and I'm expending way more than this. Did you actually measure? Did you actually weigh everything? Cooked weight. Did you actually take into consent the seasonings, the sauces, the oils, the type of pan? Like that all adds up, especially condiments.
Yeah.
Did you put ranch on your salad?
Those little
you just
things.
Added 500 calories.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
And that's just the meals. What about like the little snacks that maybe you got, or you got the protein shake, but you didn't count the sugar that's in that protein shake or the protein bar, or maybe, like,
nope, you said protein shake, 20 grams of protein.
And there's a big 40 on it. It's 40 grams. Oh, I'm about to crush it. Give me 3 of them and I'm halfway to the goal line for the day. But what else did you get with that? And it's like the damage. Yeah, exactly. And, so I just want to backtrack just a little bit, because we've mentioned like lean protein a bunch throughout this. So like when we talk about lean protein, we're talking about, whole eggs. You can do egg whites, every once in a while, but whole eggs, because the yolk is where you're getting most of the nutrients in there.
The white has the protein, the yolk has the healthy cholesterol.
Yep.
And again, dietary cholesterol does not convert directly to blood cholesterol.
Exactly.
Very different. Most of blood cholesterol comes from sugar.
Yep.
Dietary cholesterol is your healthy fats to make hormones primarily.
Yeah. And so you got your eggs, you got lean cuts of red meat. You're talking about, probably your prime and your choice, but even the other ones, if you're looking for ground beef, what is it, 85-15 at the lowest?
I'd go higher. I'd go 90-10 or 92-7. Because that kind of fat is not ideal. That's not healthy MUFAs and PUFAs. That is saturated fat.
Yeah. Because ground beef is just a mixture of all of the ones that are ungraded. Like the prime choice, and then there's the other one, which is usually like your stewing type of beef or whatever those ones are. But ground beef is usually just ungraded, which roll the dice. So if you're trying to
prefer steak, but steak's expensive. I get it. I'm a New York strip guy. I have that I probably have 6 a week, which for some people an issue is a problem.
I like it. I'm a ribeye guy.
No, New York strip. Oh, you're a ribeye?
I'm a ribeye guy.
All right. Yeah. See, I like the New York strip. That's what I make, but I cut the fat off. I cut the edges off. I get the Green Wise grass-fed organic one. And my cholesterol is good, but I exercise hard all the time.
Exactly. So, other sources of red meat, of lean protein, like fish is a great one. I do not tell any of my clients to do tilapia, but the rest of the seafood stuff, you know what? If
lots of people go for tilapia because it's lean, but it's also loaded in mercury, which can wreak a bunch of havoc on your endocrine system.
It's just not a quality fish at all, though. It's salmon's my go-to, and shrimp. Fish has lots of healthy fats, your omegas. Your omegas drive up your HDL. Your HDL works like a street sweeper to clear out the bad shit in your arteries. You need high HDL. Some people ask me, the medical range says 40 is fine. No, optimal 60 plus for HDL, but HDL is so cardioprotective, it's anti-inflammatory because it cleans out the bad shit in your arteries. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a lot of like those omega-3s, the omega-6s. And be careful with overdoing the omega-6s, because those at a high range is
6 and 9 can be scary. You probably get plenty in your food. Stick with just the 3s, primarily 3s made of EPA and DHA. You got to watch for those. So I recommend for almost everyone 4 to 6 grams of omega-3 from EPA and DHA. So,
now chicken and like lean pieces of turkey, like if you're going to do it, that's fine. It's not the best, but it's not bad. You're still in that good range, but
absolutely.
if you want, take off the
Yeah,
skin.
you
Definitely.
can't have all your protein come from red meat. Then you get trouble. Red meat has more fat, right?
Yeah,
Chicken's
exactly.
great, but it's got to be lean chicken breast, cut off the fat, or lean turkey, round, low fat, right? So, excuse me, we need these lean proteins, and everything has a place, which is why I don't love anyone who says, just eat this, just eat this.
Yeah.
No, you need multiple meals of red meat. You need multiple meals of chicken. You need multiple meals of fish. Your red meat has your heme iron, higher dose of B vitamins. Your chicken's solid quality, low fat, good protein. And your fish is good protein with good healthy fat. You need that combination. So we're omnivores. We need to eat different sources of protein and vegetables.
Variety.
We really do.
It's a magical variety.
For sure.
So we've in some ways we've oversimplified health and food and eating. It's like, no, there's a little bit more to it, but it's still a simple process. Eating a calorie deficit, lose weight.
You're in a deficit long enough, you lose weight. Your body cannot function. That mentality, you cannot exist without calories to keep your heart beating, to keep your lungs oxygenating your blood. You can't live. That takes calories. That takes energy. That takes ATP. If you're truly in a deficit for a long enough period, your weight goes down. It might not be good weight. That's why crash diets that are super nutrient deficient, you'll drop scale weight, but you'll feel like shit. It's not good for your health.
Oh yeah. It's
the body weight, it's very simple. It's physics. Calories in versus calories out. And these people that say, well, I was in starvation mode. None of these other diets worked for me until this. No. Whatever diet you're talking about, you just ate less calories for a long enough period. And hopefully you got enough protein and micronutrients. So I don't like starvation diets by no means.
No.
But you drop scale weight. Like, if not, you're not doing it. Like, there is no way.
What we're doing to our body, it matters more than just for a picture or for the gym, or like, this is health.
Or even just for the scale.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just care about the scale.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother thing, men and women.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How's your energy? How's your sleep? How's your mindset? How's your motivation, your drive, your happiness throughout the day? How's your gym performance? Can you still lift? Are you setting PRs? Are you able to function throughout the day? Are you able to remember things and read things and communicate?
Can you wake up
did all that go to shit just so the scale dropped by 2 numbers?
Yeah. And can you just wake up in the morning and make it to noon without being like, I need a nap? Because you're just so depleted. So let's go and dig into the metabolic damage, and then we can get into some hormones after that.
Absolutely, and they go hand in hand for sure. So for those that don't know, metabolic disease or metabolic syndrome is a combination of things. It is increased BMI, and I'm not a huge fan of the BMI scale. Yes, it correlates well with research because the average person doesn't work out. But if you are super fit and have a lot of muscle, the BMI scale is going to tell you you're overweight or obese. I feel like I'm pretty averagely built, and it says it has me right between overweight and obese for my BMI. So for the gym rat, it's not a good scale. But on average for the American person, it is. So, increased BMI, increased body fat, right? So based on height and weight, your body fat. Along with that goes increased cholesterol, right? Because you're probably eating like crap if you have a high body fat, right? Increased blood sugar, increased blood pressure. What does all of that lead to? Metabolic syndrome. What happens with metabolic syndrome? When you've got increased blood sugar and insulin resistance, that means your pancreas makes insulin. It releases insulin in response to glucose, in response to digested carbohydrates, sugars, right? That funnels that into the muscles, into the cells, into your liver. Very important things. If your pancreas has to overwork because it's constantly getting these spikes of glucose, it starts to get less and less sensitive. The
Yeah.
cells start to get less and less sensitive.
Yeah.
That's called insulin resistance. That's a huge factor in metabolic syndrome, a huge factor, right? So what we want, and a lot of docs won't even check an A1C, which is your 3-month average. Most won't even check an insulin. They'll just do a metabolic panel, which gives you your fasting glucose. Fasting glucose is a snapshot.
Yeah.
I've had patients with great fasting glucose.
Yeah.
But when I test their insulin, it's super high.
Yeah.
What does that tell us? If your pancreas has to work so hard to produce so much insulin to keep your blood sugar in that state, you're insulin resistant, which means your cells are no longer responding very well. That's a huge risk factor for metabolic disease.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like once you're at that point, you're starting to go into that range of like pre-diabetic, and then
usually that's pre-diabetic for sure.
And so something I kind of looked into was there is also like the undiagnosed, because a lot of people fall in that undiagnosed form of diabetes, and there is a lot of people in that stage right now. Is that something that you can fix if you are, getting to insulin resistant, or, getting into a range of pre-diabetic? Is that a fixable thing? Is there a solution for you without medication?
100%.
Yep.
All right. So type 1, it sucks, but I'm sorry. That means you genetically, your pancreas doesn't work. It doesn't make insulin. You're going to have to take insulin. It's hard, but that's just what it is.
Yep.
Type 2 and pre-diabetic, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, step 1 is lifestyle.
Yeah.
The reason a lot of it gets missed is because people don't understand lifestyle or go to regular doctors who either don't test blood sugar, don't test A1C, don't test insulin, or they say, well, you're within the medical range. And let me just break this down for just a second.
Yeah.
Medical range and optimal range are drastically different. You don't get flagged by the lab until you're sick. Let me say that again. You don't get flagged by the lab until you're sick. Okay?
That's scary.
Your A1C will not show up as high based on the lab range until you're pre-diabetic, until your A1C is past 5.7, so 5.8 or above. Guess where it should be? 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
With an insulin less than 10, a fasting insulin, right? So if I test somebody and their fasting glucose, a snapshot of blood sugar, fasted first thing in the morning, is 97, and their insulin's 22, and their A1C is 5.8, guess what? Most doctors will be like, meh, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're pre-diabetic and you're insulin resistant. You're headed towards metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
Right? Your fasting glucose, the lab range runs for, I don't even know if there's a bottom number. It might be 60, but it ends at 99, right? It should never get to 99.
Yeah.
It should be between 70 and 85. It should never get higher than that, right? If it goes beyond that, despite your insulin, if it goes beyond that, you're now heading in that bad direction. You're not technically pre-diabetic yet.
Yeah.
Or diabetic. But you're heading in that direction, which means we need to start making corrections. And that's what I do as a functional medicine doctor, as an anti-aging doctor. We don't wait till you're sick to help these things.
Yeah. Prevention is the best medicine.
Absolutely. So we want your blood sugar to be between 70, no higher than 90. I'd like it lower. I'd like it between 70 and 80, but no higher than that.
Yeah.
With an insulin under 10.
Yeah.
Right? That means your cells are responding to that insulin. And if they're not, you're heading towards insulin resistance, which is going to predispose you to metabolic disease.
Yeah.
Right? So in order to, understand blood sugar and stuff, your doctor better be ordering a metabolic panel with a fasting glucose, an A1C, which is about your 3-month average of glucose.
Yep.
It should be between 4.5 and 5. Ideally, 5.1, 5.2 is okay, as long as your insulin's low. If your insulin's through the roof and you're at a 5.2, it means you're struggling. You're heading in a bad direction. but the lab doesn't flag you for pre-diabetes until 5.7.
Yeah.
Right. So
and
they need to test all those things. Fasting glucose, A1C, insulin, ideally, to understand how your body's regulating those sugars.
Yeah. And, like the topic of sugar, man, sugar turns into a frustrating conversation because, one, we like to lump everything under this one word of sugar. And so if we really think about it, fruits are sugar, and then your potato and your rice, but so is that cookie. So are they all the same? And it's like, no, they're not. The body is going to deal with it differently, but you can still have too much sugar in the body.
Absolutely.
But, with this, again, similar to fat, with this craze of like sugar-free, I got to stay away from sugar. But it's like your body, yes, your brain runs predominantly off of sugar. Like
you need glucose for sure to exist.
Glucose. It's just within reason, though. Your cells.
Even if you go keto, your body breaks down tissue to make glucose.
Yeah. And it's like, that's just not it. This doesn't sound the most optimal thing. Just go get you some fruit, get some fibrous vegetables. You're going to be okay eating carbs, and you're even going to be okay having a slice of cake every once in a while. But it's not that you're not going to turn diabetic because you had a slice of cake. No, you had the cake.
If you have a cake every night,
you had the cake.
But a slice of cake
all the time.
Every month for somebody's birthday, not a big deal, or just because you like it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and one of the big, I like the 80-20 rule, and a lot of people disagree. I don't know, because they don't believe in it, but 80-20 rule is 80% of your meals, your lifestyle, your diet needs to be healthy and clean.
Yep.
Lean protein, vegetables primarily, 80%, right? If you cheat that 20%, you're not going to get sick. If it's truly 80-20.
Yep.
If
truly
you're eating like shit and not knowing it, then of course you're going to get sick. Yeah. Right? So, one, have a doctor that checks all those things if they don't find a better one.
Yeah.
Right? Two, fix your lifestyle. Focus your meals on lean protein, not fried, lean protein, not processed. If you can get organic, grass-fed, that's ideal. If not, it's okay. Yeah. But it's going to be a little harder.
Yeah.
Lean protein and green vegetables, whether that is spinach, kale, green beans. Yeah, there's a million.
There's so many
that
vegetables.
Should be the core of your diet. Yeah. If you want some carbs, don't get them from potato chips. Once in a while, it's fine.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be part of your dinner.
Yeah. You take your girl out on a date and you get some popcorn, go for it. But it's like most of what you should be doing should be within this bubble of, and I don't even want to use the word like necessarily just healthy, but just quality.
Moderation.
Yeah. It's just quality foods that are whole quality foods.
Right. But if it came from God, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Something I heard all the other manufacturers, probably not.
Yeah.
And like oats. Oats are a great carb source. What do you want? Natural steel cut oats that you make yourself. What do you not want? The pre-made ones that are loaded in sugar, the brown sugar. And I like those because they're easy.
Man, it's delicious. Trust me, that gets me through when I'm on prep. Like that's my lifesaver.
So loaded in sugar. Get steel cut oats, season them yourself, then you know what you're putting on it. Yeah. If you get the pre-made packets, they're processed, partially digested, full of gluten, got a bunch of crap. Don't do that.
Peaches and cream, and it tastes delicious, but what are you putting in there?
Right. You might as well go eat Lucky Charms. Right. Here's my 2 pieces of advice. Stick to the outside of the grocery aisle, right? What do you have there? You've got your vegetables.
Vegetables,
you've got your
meat.
And some dairy.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else
I've never looked at the grocery store like that. It's if you just stay the outer ring of the grocery store, you're generally good.
My other piece of advice, if it came from God, it's probably good. And you don't have to be I'm religious, I'm a Christian. But if you're not, you don't have to be. But if it was naturally made by God,
if no man had to do anything to it.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Meat, vegetables, and fruit.
Yeah. Oh,
And our
man,
grains used to be good, and they're not anymore because they're so processed and messed up.
Nah.
Meat, vegetables, and fruit. If it came from God, you can probably eat it in pretty high amounts.
Yeah.
If it comes in a box or it lasts for 2 years, you probably should minimize.
Yeah.
Fiber is huge on cholesterol. Fiber has a huge impact. You need vegetables and fruit to manage cholesterol. Healthy fats, super important. Lean protein, super important.
Yeah.
But we're talking men's health, right?
Yep.
So can I go on a little tangent and explain men's health a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. So most people don't understand hormone ranges. We already talked about this briefly.
Yep.
But the lab range runs from 250 to 1100.
Mm-hmm.
That's crap. Anything
Crazy,
under 450 increases your risk for heart disease significantly, like more than high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Significant increase in metabolic disorders and cardiovascular disorders.
Mm-hmm.
Anything under 600, you usually feel like shit. And this is just based on symptoms, but you do. And symptoms matter because your mindset matters and your mood matters. And are you motivated to go to the gym?
Yeah.
That matters.
Yeah.
Are you motivated to work and sleep and be with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever?
Yep.
That matters. Your mental health matters. Anything under 600, significant decrease in mental health, right? What's optimal for a male? 800 to 1200. Tell me any other provider besides functional medicine or anti-aging doctor that will look at testosterone in that way.
Oh, no.
There are none.
No, because the endocrinologist is going to be 800. Oh, my God. He's going to freak out.
Or he won't test it because he doesn't. And they're brilliant. I'm not knocking them. Endocrinologists go through tons of schooling. They're super smart, but they deal with pathology. Pathology is different than optimal function. Pathology are endocrine tumors, type 1 diabetes, things that can kill you. That's what they do. I refer to endocrinologists for things I can't handle, but things are outside of my scope.
Yeah.
Not knocking them.
Yeah.
But they do not optimize the average male's hormone. They do not. It's not a thing. That's not what they do. They treat diseases.
Yeah.
Right.
I went to an endocrinologist and I felt wildly out of place because, I showed up and, I'm pretty in shape. And like you said, most of the people that were in the waiting room, they were going there because of, insulin levels. And like you said, they had a bunch of different issues that were going on that they were there for. And so I was like, I'm sitting there like, oh man. And like one of the fears that I had, because I was going to go get my
buddy, I don't mean to interrupt, but I can hear you, but your video froze.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You look very passionate in your freeze, but
okay, good. As long as it's a good pause, I'm cool with it. Like
it's a pretty good pause. Your chaps look good. You look super passionate.
Okay, good. I also need to start doing a workout like right before I get on. That way, like get a little
you're back. You're back. Okay.
Oh man. I mean, no, that's great. But sure. I get in there and I was going to the endocrinologist, for getting my hormones checked. And as soon as I was in the waiting room, I knew what to expect. And it was like, oh, you're looking for testosterone. You're on the bodybuilding arena. You're looking for testosterone. And I kind of got it treated like that. But I didn't chalk that up to the endocrinologist being a bad doctor. It's just if most of what they see all day, every single day is a similar type of patient, and then you get somebody that's active that walks in, you're going to stick out. And so, but
for sure.
You're absolutely right. The endocrinologist, I had a conversation. Once he looked at my actual labs, oh man, he went the correct route. But make sure that, probably the biggest thing is as a patient, if you're going to a doctor, be involved in the care, the treatment plan. You don't need to just sit there and just let them tell you what to do. Like if you got questions, ask. If you like you said, if you have the symptoms, talk about them. Make sure they're being addressed.
If they can't answer, find another provider.
Yeah.
Because medical guidelines are very far from optimal health and optimal function and optimal life. So
But go ahead.
They're very brilliant and they're wonderful for true pathologies, true diseases. Your endocrinologist, your cardiologist, they're great.
Yeah.
They're very trained in a tunnel vision mindset of, do you have this condition? Is this what I treat or not? They don't care if your dick doesn't work.
Yeah.
They don't care if you have no sex drive. They don't care if you have trouble waking up in the morning. They don't care if you're not motivated throughout the day. Antidepressants or a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that it's very different to optimize your life and optimize your function, optimize your hormones, your chemistry. All of that matters so much. And it's a very missing piece in medicine. And that's what I do. That's why I've done 15 plus years of postgraduate or college, graduate school, postgraduate training. I am in my fellowship right now.
Yep.
Look for a functional medicine doctor.
Yeah.
And even that, be cautious, because a lot of functional medicine doctors are chiropractors who order tests that they don't understand. And it's just, I'm not knocking anybody. They're trying to help. But if they don't get it, a functional medicine doctor or board certified MD in anti-aging medicine and functional medicine, that's usually the best bet.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then integrated practice, a practice with multiple providers from multiple different specialties that does detailed labs, all your blood chemistry, functional labs, nutrition. If your doctor doesn't talk to you about nutrition, they're not a good doctor. Find another doctor. If they don't talk to you about sleep, sex, find a new doctor.
Yeah. And I think that applies to all of your providers, not just like your primary care or just like any specific specialty. Like if you're going to behavioral health, you should be hearing about nutrition and sleep and lifestyle. If you're going for a cardiologist or endocrinologist, or they need to be, because it
even neurologists. Even neurologists. Because nutrition has a huge impact on nerve health. So even neurologists.
Go have a
OBGYN
week.
for sure.
Yeah. Go have a week.
I have irregular periods and they just put you on birth control without checking anything. Run.
Yeah.
Find a new doctor.
Yeah.
And it's not always me. I refer out all the time. I don't treat everything.
Yeah.
I'm good at very specific things. And that's what I do. And otherwise I refer out.
Yeah.
But you have to find a doctor that understands lifestyle habits, nutrition, supplements. Those all matter. Yeah. Drugs are great.
Yeah.
But they're not the first line.
Yeah.
They should never be the first line.
Nor should they be the long-term answer all the time.
You're right.
But what we end up doing is we turn to drugs first and only drugs. And it's just like, here's your pill. You're on this. High five. See you, in 3 months for your checkup.
For sure. So
question, what, for guys, what are some symptoms that they should be looking for with low T? I like mood is a big one, sleep, but like specifically, what are some things that they should be looking for?
You just mentioned too that most people don't even know. Those were great answers. Mood and sleep. Most people actually don't realize that.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks testosterone is sex drive and muscle.
Muscle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are huge. But honestly, I've tested people with low T with good muscle mass. Guess what? There's other hormones that can have anabolic properties, like growth hormone and insulin-like growth factor.
Yep.
That, it can happen. So, like you said, mood, huge. Sleep, huge. Anxiety, huge. Decreased motivation.
Yeah.
And this is my problem with the medical society. When you say, I'm not very motivated, they're going to say, oh, you're depressed. Here's your antidepressant, which lowers testosterone even further.
Yep.
Right? Check your hormones.
Yeah.
So morning erections.
Yeah.
They matter. That sounds crude, but it's very important.
Morning wood is the guy's like telltale sign.
100%. And people don't realize that, I'm just getting older. It's normal. I'm not that horny. It's normal.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be crude. I'm speaking from a medical perspective. Morning wood matters. You should wake up with an erect penis.
Putting that on a shirt.
It should happen.
Yeah.
It should happen.
Yeah.
You should be motivated to have sex with your wife or your girlfriend. If you're not, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? You should be motivated to go to the gym, right? When someone's mean to you, and you should get angry.
Yeah.
It's a problem if you just go,
whatever. Yeah. There should be a trigger.
And anger is not a great thing. It's not good for you. But
Yeah.
That should be your response. With adequate testosterone, you should sleep good.
Yeah.
You should have low anxiety. You should be confident. You should recover well from the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You should be if not sexually active, interested in sex.
Yeah.
You should wake up with an erect penis.
Yeah.
Right. Those are all warning signs.
Yeah.
If you're not motivated to go to the gym, if you say, everyone once in a while has a 16-hour day and doesn't want to go work out. But if you
Absolutely.
work 8 hours at a desk job and you don't want to go train, if you're not like, oh, I'm anxious to go do this.
Your regular average schedule should not cause you to leave.
Your body needs a release.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
so
common.
What about man boobs? The guy that walking around, he's got some body fat going on, and it's starting to turn into like man boobs. It's not a peck. It's kind of like,
okay. So man boobs is ambiguous. It can be two things. You can get too fat and have too much adipose tissue around your pectoral muscle that looks like a boob.
Yeah.
If it's your nipple specifically,
mm-hmm.
it's called gynecomastia.
Yeah.
Right? And it's caused by elevated estrogen, or I don't know why I did that. That was weird. Or elevated prolactin, right?
Okay.
And everyone just immediately says, especially in the gym world, your nipples are sensitive or enlarged.
Yeah.
It's estrogen. Take an aromatase inhibitor.
Yeah.
Right? An estrogen blocker.
Yep.
It can be caused by prolactin.
Mm-hmm.
Prolactin can increase with multiple different performance enhancing drugs, but also stress.
Yeah.
And pituitary tumors, which is why a good provider checks your prolactin level. So especially, and this is kind of weird, but the videos going around of dudes with leaking nipples, that's not estrogen, that's prolactin.
Yeah.
Right. So man boobs could be just fat.
Mm-hmm.
Fat also increases aromatase activity. Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estradiol.
Yeah.
So you could just be fat.
Yeah.
Or you could have too much estrogen, or you could have too much prolactin. Either way, a good provider needs to do the medical test and tell you, hey, you're fat. Hey, your estrogen's high. Here's what we're going to do. Hey, your prolactin's high. Here's what we're going to do. Or, hey, it's all of the above. Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Even if, hey, you're fat, give them a plan.
Yeah. Gotcha. Another question I have, because this one bugs me so much. All right. So when we talk about the world of testosterone, people typically start to cringe a little bit, especially in the medical industry. When you're like, oh, my testosterone, they're like, oh my God, don't worry about it. You're fine. And testosterone's a controlled drug when medically, prescribed. You only get so much, and then all of that stuff. And we've already discussed that, low testosterone is life-threatening. So we know all of these things about testosterone, but why is it that testosterone is kind of like feared the way it is, but estrogen or like birth control and things like that, why aren't we as worried about testosterone as we are estrogen?
That's a wonderful question, my friend. And I've got the answer. All right. So here we go. Testosterone.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you're asking your doctor for testosterone, they immediately think you want steroids for the gym.
It's swole.
Right?
Yeah.
And your old school medical thinking, that's what it is. And estrogen's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Bioidentical estrogen, when properly prescribed, that's rare. That's what I do. That's what a few anti-aging functional medicine doctors do. That's not common. What do? Birth control. What is that? It's not estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
It's synthetic forms of bullshit estrogen from horse urine. And what does that do? Tell your body, it's a chemical signal to your body to shut down your hormones. It has none of the bioactive effects of real estrogen. Right?
I need you to reverse real quick. Hold on. You just said it is a synthetic bullshit version of estrogen derived from horse urine?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
That's where birth control comes from. Just so you know.
Didn't know that.
Bioidentical estrogen is very different. But again, just like all medication, the difference between medicine and poison is the dose, right? Hormones are slightly more complicated because the difference between poison and medication is one, the dose, two, the timing, especially for a cycling female, right? If you give estrogen primarily in the second phase of a female cycle, it's going to be harmful. The first half, and we were talking to men's health, so I'm going off on a tangent for female health. Estrogen should go up through the first 15 days of a female cycle. The second half of that cycle should be progesterone, right?
Yeah.
Not synthetic progesterone, which is not actually even, you can't even call synthetic progesterone. It's called a progestin. If you're taking a progestin, it increases breast cancer risk, cervical cancer risk, and uterine cancer risk. Guess what? If you're prescribed the proper amounts of bioidentical progesterone, it decreases breast cancer risk. It decreases uterine cancer risk. It decreases ovarian cancer risk. It decreases cervical cancer risk.
Yeah.
So we kind of have gotten so confused. If you're not a provider who's up on the research, progesterone, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, that causes cancer. We're not doing that. You have to be up on this shit, which is so important. Right. So again, testosterone for a male, most doctors say, oh, you're just looking to get muscle gains. You just want legal steroids, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Hormone therapy is not steroids. And let me explain. All right. Medical range runs from 250 to 1100. We've already talked about this, right? Optimal is 800 to 1200. Research shows that very specifically, right? Excuse me. The dose of a steroid, most bodybuilders, their lowest dose is 500 milligrams to 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
The most you ever legally prescribe, even if their natural test total is 100, 200, 250, and very rare occasions, never more than that.
Yeah.
Guess what? When you do that, their level is going to be between 800 and 1200.
Yep.
And if their natural level is higher, it might go too high and you reduce the dose. We do that all the time.
Yep.
I want to get people up. If I get their next set of labs in 3 months and they're too high, I bring it down.
Yeah.
It's very different than steroids, right?
Yeah.
And estrogen for a female, very well, it's important for everyone. In males, some prescribers go too much or too little. They'll either do testosterone therapy and not check your estrogen levels and give you an aromatase inhibitor, or they'll say, hey, estrogen's going to go up. We're going to give you too much because testosterone breaks down to two metabolites, right? There's two enzymes that act on testosterone. And I'm getting very biochemical here, so stop me if I'm getting too.
Let's do it.
All right. So 5 reduction. All right. 5-alpha reductase is the enzyme that breaks down testosterone into DHT, dihydrotestosterone, right? Aromatase is the enzyme that takes testosterone and makes it estradiol, E2, the bioactive form of estrogen, right? We can block either of those enzymes. We can chemically block them through pharmaceuticals, or we can naturally reduce them through nutraceuticals, natural agents, right?
Oh, okay.
Most docs don't check that stuff. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge issue because if you're messing with one, you're gonna start messing with the other in a way.
Absolutely, right? So men need estrogen, and people don't understand that. Guess what? It's important for brain health. It's important for heart health. It's anti-inflammatory. It's important for joint health. It's even important for sex drive for men to have enough estrogen. You take too much of an AI because your bro at the gym told you to, or because your doctor who didn't understand hormones told you to.
Yeah.
And it crashes and you have no estradiol, you're going to feel like shit. Your joints are going to hurt. You're going to be pissed off. You're going to be moody, and you're not going to have a good sex drive.
Yep.
So having a physician who understands these specialties is so important, because it's not this is good, this is bad. It's the balance. It's the ratio. It's the optimal level. That's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy that, like, I like how you pointed out that both men and women need testosterone and estrogen. And we tend to go, well, testosterone man, estrogen woman. And if it ever crosses, then bad. And it's like, no. We both need it. It just needs to stay in a good balance. Nice,
our amounts
balance.
are different. The amount for a man is different than the amount for a woman.
Exactly.
And the ratio of estrogen to progesterone to estradiol and testosterone, different male to female.
Yeah, exactly.
So my key point is ratios matter.
Yeah.
You need comprehensive hormone testing for that. And medical range is not optimal. Medical range is way out here based on averages. Optimal is very, very different. So having a physician who understands those things is key. Yeah.
So where can people find you at? Because I know you do, even if they're not local, you do telehealth with them, and you'll still do the blood work and everything. So where can they find you, get a hold of you, get some of your services?
All right. So I'm Alpha Doc Rizzo on Instagram, and Alpha Care Functional Med on Instagram for my business page. And the number is 870-623-4958. You can call or text that. That's the business line, but I bought a cell phone for the business line, so texting is easier. I can send you the link to post it up for this, but
and I'll throw this up there on the screen.
The only restriction is I cannot prescribe controlled hormones across state lines. So I have to see you in person if you need testosterone.
Gotcha. But if like you'll do the lab work and everything, and they can take that to a prescribing doc in their current state. So
and I'll even do the searches for you and be like, hey, this guy, doesn't sound good, or this guy sounds great, or this guy was in my database for my.
And where were you at when man, I hear you. People don't realize how, like, that's a good service, because like finding a doc that's going to work well with you, that's a big problem. But
just like in any profession, there's good and bad providers. So an MD is not an MD. It's not the same. There's crap ones and there's wonderful ones. A DO is not the same. There's crap ones and wonderful ones. A DC is not the same. There's crap ones and there's wonderful ones. So understanding their treatment philosophy, there's education, there's schooling, their updated education, that matters. And there's multiple databases for that stuff. Because I do it, I have access to it, and I'm happy to search in your area and tell you who I think you should see. Guess what? If you sign a HIPAA release, I'll even talk to your provider, tell them what I think, and then it's up to them to sign it. But I'll tell them what I think and what you need.
Because and that part is even more valuable, because it avoids the patient having to play the fax machine, because
well, this guy said this, and the doctor says,
well, the doc said
bullshit.
My test was low, so he said something about giving me more. What? That's not what he said. It's like it's like talking to a kid, and they're like, yeah, mom said I could get some ice cream. No, she said you could get some after you finish your dinner, if you did your chores.
100%.
So you take all of that out. That's great. Dude, like always, man, I love talking to you, love having you around. Always a wealth of information. I appreciate the time. It's getting late. I know. You get everybody to bed yet?
I still have 7. Oh, you can't see this. It's blurred out. I have a bunch of charts I still have to go through and labs.
No, I could tell that was a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, great talking to you, dude. Yeah. Anyone who needs a great trainer, nutritionist, Chris is your man. He's great. So happy to be on here, and love you, brother. Let's get a workout.